It says I'm on too. Am I doing anything?
Test.
Okay. Me as well?
Awesome. All right, so how's everybody doing? Good? Awesome. So I see some new faces. I see some familiar faces. Thank you for coming out and joining us. So obviously we got the online thing going on, and then here, how many guys have heard Jake speak before? So intriguing, right? Like this is that kind of shit that the time of the year where it's like you're a nerd like I am. Really important, right? This lets you know what the market's doing, little indicators. It's just a really good source. I think we were just saying like this is year 5.
It's year 5 for me. It might be year 6 for Dragus.
We're getting there.
So yeah.
Forget how old this thing is.
Yeah.
This started with just Alex and I having some beers, and next thing you know, we go through COVID, and then we're still here, right? So we're working on keeping that going. We're also looking to bring on new people that want to help this thing go too, right? We are going to take Hopportunity and try to spread it, right? We want it to be a thing to where other people can go to other markets and talk, or other people that are in other markets can get the same platform that we have and embody the same thing that me and Alex did. One thing that we hated was every time you go somewhere, some meeting, there's always some dickhead being like, go to the back of the room and go pay $5.99. Right? Like guaranteed that shit's going down, right? And that was something that me and Alex said that we didn't want to happen. And that's what right now JP is carrying on, I'm carrying on. The ladies in the background help us carry this on. So if you have something that you want to join us with and help this grow, please step up and ask some questions. We do it in Trig, if you've heard of that group, Tidewater Real Estate Investment Group. And there's a board, right? This isn't a board. This is just some guys putting stuff together and having fun and teaching people, right? So we want that. We want people to bring ideas to us, and we want them to help grow this, okay? So if you've got something, whether you're online and hear us or you're here and hear us, believe it or not, you know more than you think you know, right? There's always somebody else out there that you believe maybe you don't know as much as you think you do, and then you start talking and somebody else is like, holy shit, I didn't know that, right? So share the information. You can't take it with you, right? We all got this limited time on earth. Help somebody up. I always say you got 2 hands for a reason. One for yourself and one to bring somebody up with, right? So help somebody. It's not that you're not that fucking cool. Nobody is, right? So be okay with that, okay? Otherwise, JP, tell us a little about what's going on with you.
Yeah, so a part of Alex Winfield's team, like Sean mentioned, he helped grow and brought this up from grassroots. Yeah, I mean, Alex and I still cranking away with this market. Again, this is one of Alex's favorite topics, speaks a year round. He looks forward to this every year. So we're just excited to kind of get some indicators like Sean mentioned, and a tap on what's going on here locally on our market. You know, you talk to everyone around the room. It's like, hey man, how things are going for you? And it's just a big swing right now. Like you're hearing, you know, stuff's going on up here and then stuff's going on back down here. So I mean, this is part of the whole reason, obviously, that Sean started this. Like he said, is just so we can learn from each other, grow from each other, network, do deals, you know, and just contribute. So looking forward to this one.
Awesome. So like another thing that we stopped doing for a little bit, I want to kind of bring this back. We do it at Trig. I really like it. I want to talk about like a little bit of a brag session, right? Like, what have you done? And let's just say either the past 30 days, 60 days. I don't really care how long it's been or how short it's been, but talk about a deal that maybe you did. I don't care if you're a wholesaler. I don't care if you're a rehabber. You're a lender. Like, you got some good loans going down. You took on a new property, right? You bought it as an investment property. I love to hear the good stuff because it lets other people know in the room, like, it is happening, right? And of course, there's always the horror stories. We can talk about those too, like it's real, like shitting in the sunshine and rain. It's not all licking ice cream all day, right? Maybe licking windows, but not licking ice cream. So who's got some deals that they talked about? Like, anybody had something go down, do some deals? Yeah? Talk about it, Mike.
I haven't actually done too many deals recently. We've just kind of been stabilizing.
It's okay, you're just talking into the online stuff.
Got it. But something at work that I got to be a part of, some young guys. They picked up like 60 acres in Chesapeake, cut it up into 4 parcels. One of them already had a house on it. They were able to sell that parcel to fund the subdivision of, we'll call it Lot 1. That'll be split into 4 lots. They already have another parcel that they'll cut out of that can sell. And so basically they're going to get like 10 lots out of this thing plus a house. And I mean, they carried it for maybe 9 months.
What?
Yeah, it was sweet.
Dude, that's a sick deal.
And they're just like
That's a good deal.
guys, like just people.
awesome.
You know what I mean?
How'd they find it?
That they didn't tell me.
Trade secrets of marketing.
Just the consultant.
Anybody else?
Tim's got one. I know Tim
We're gonna give
mentioned.
the mic so you can talk to
Tim
people.
mentioned something.
Is this thing working?
1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah, it's all
All right.
fine. Hey, here's
All right, I'm a Jersey guy. I don't need this.
something.
All right, so I got a realtor friend who she kept showing me MLS properties. I'm like, stop with the MLS. So she finally came to me with the property. It was off the MLS. It's a commercial property at the intersection of Pembroke and Mercury in Hampton. It's a modular home. It was built as a doctor's office. It's been a chiropractor's office. It's been a assisted living home and a battered women's shelter. And by the time we went to go look at it, the place was a battered shelter to the nth degree. So we looked at it. I'm like, all right, bones look good. Then the inspection came clear. And we're thinking there's a housing shortage. Let's turn this thing into a home. Essentially, for 1,100 square feet, it's a 4-bedroom. Now, it looks like 2 shipping containers put about 4 feet apart. You got a bedroom, a bathroom, a bedroom, a pantry, laundry room, whatever you want to call it, and a big open space area and a master bedroom in the back. So somehow, I guess when the assisted living home, whatever, they put a shower in the first bedroom. So we figured turn that around, put it into this bathroom. So now we got a full bath there. And this is one of the guys who helped do it. I found a stellar team on next door. I stay away from Angie's. I found this guy named Steve Elgin out of Portsmouth, and he had a business that he got rid of in 2014, did a no competition clause, got back at him doing one house at a time. I'm like, I got him, great. He comes in, he goes, hey, it's too far, but I'm going to give you my best guy, this guy named Darren. I'm like, yeah, but he's not Class A. I need you. Can you stay on a name? He goes, no problem. So he gets the permit for the place, and he submits it. I didn't see it. He submits it as residential, but it's not residential yet. So they rejected 2 months in. Now I'm hurry, scurry, and going, oh shit, I got to resubmit it. And they're going to accept the time that's been in so far and try and go residential with it.
Yeah.
Because it's got a full bathroom in the master bed now. It's got a full tub and shower and toilet in where the bathroom used to be. So this thing is really coming out well, but I'm worried about getting it rezoned. Now, I have to go through the fact that it's got a commercial fire suppression system, a pressurized water tank or water system. I called the company local in Hampton. I get Roanoke. I'm like, no, I want. So it's like this comedy of errors, but it's going well. But I think it might be sitting for a while until I get it rezoned. It can be a short-term rental. I'm like, okay, then I'll just make it an Airbnb. It's big enough. There's 6 parking spots next to the place, so it's really not a home. It could work for a guy who's starting a business out, like with landscaping or painting trucks or a plumber, and they have places to park their vehicles. So, but it's a crapshoot. I got it for $120. I'm selling it for $299. I dropped almost $100 into it. So I'm hoping I can turn this thing around.
Good. So I look forward to hearing that on the Hopportunity page about what happened with
Yeah.
Keep everybody
Absolutely.
up to date.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a unique little thing, and I wasn't finding anything.
Yeah.
I was searching high and low, drove out to Saluda, found a compound of houses. As the further I got on down the road, it got scary and scary until we found a property, and there's 2 shitty mobile homes, and the last house had nothing but $100,000 SUVs. I'm like, we're out of here. Breaking Bad, here it is, right here.
It says free candy.
Who needs another one?
So anybody else have any deals that? Yeah, Chase, talk to us.
Yeah, so I don't know how well this works. I can project as well. So just closed on a 4-unit up in East Ocean View, right on 5th. So I got to talk to you about that, Christian. I got another 4-unit right on the same street. So nice 8 units on one street, go medium term, and then sold a short-term rental up in New York. So trying to sell in some other place and just consolidate down to Hampton Road. So
Keep it down here and close to you.
keep it down here close to me. Got one in Florida I'm selling as well. So yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Anybody else got anything that they've done? I mean, guys, we're talking about the realtor space. We're talking about all of it. Okay. Anybody? No. So we did a deal a few months ago where we got to take over, and this will be the last thing, and we'll let Jay talk. We took over a sub-2 deal. How many people in the room know what that means? Taking over existing mortgage. Cool. So those people online, it's just basically stepping in somebody's mortgage. They stay in place. You make the payment, and you own the property, right? So this is one that we took over at like 2.6. It was like on $267,000, and we turned around and wrapped that at $350. I think we were all in for about $8,000-ish. You got to look at the numbers on that one. But we were able to owner finance it back out of the wrap. We did it at $350 with a $40,000 down payment. That's a $7,000 investment, a $40,000 return in time, right? Because I think we put a 7.5% interest rate on top of 2.6, right? Those deals are going to start popping up more than you realize, right? There's a lot of default coming. There's a lot of default coming in the multifamily space, right? So if you're out marketing, get busy. Yeah. Start going for them, right? Look for the defaults. They're going to start happening.
Why do you play default specifically?
Because they're on their 5-year term. So on the question was, why do we feel like it's going to default? No, the 5-year loan that it took to get the down payment to get the 30-year mortgage. Those guys are the ones that brought the money to the table with a promise of a refi and either a higher percentage or part of the spread when they refi it out, right? Nobody's refining shit. So they're going to lose their money or they're going to decrease their rate. So if you're smart enough and you're knowing where to go find this, go pull those records and see who the lender was. That's your deal, right? Those are going to start to default. And when you start seeing all these crazy ass numbers of somebody saying like I'm selling this multifamily 12-unit building at 1.2 and it produces at a 3 cap, do you think they have a choice? Who's the one that's going to end up taking it back? The lender, the guy that brought the money to the table. That's where your focus should be, right? The reason I'm saying all this is because there is a lot of creativity things that can happen that you can go find these deals, right? Just start digging. It's already starting to happen, okay? Single family's doing its thing, it's fine, but multi-family is going to be No. Just go and look all the default stuff. Look at default rates. Are you asking who the lender is? Yeah, go down to deeds of trust, right? Open the deeds and record room. And if you guys are, if you're savvy enough, go online and pay for the access, and we'll go directly to the courthouse. Right? Most of them are paid. Go to the courthouse, pull the records, look for the information. There's going to be the lender's LLC name on it.
How do you source it? And you know, okay, they have a 5-year balloon.
Every mortgage that was pulled in 5 years that has a second lien. The first lien and the second lien. Right? Look at the total amount for the first, look at the total amount for the second. Just go pull anything in 5 years in the second lien position on multifamily only. And if you guys are any good at marketing, you know where to pull that data and data sources. And I'm not like giving you a secret or anything. I'm just saying there's all these sites you can go pull this information. There's multiple of them, right? How many realtors are there? Go to Realist. The data's sitting on Realist. It's right there, right? It's sitting right in front of your face. Go start sourcing it and start putting it inside of an Excel doc and start flipping the pivot table around and you'll start crunching the data. Okay?
You want some more?
If you want to learn more about that, buy my book. No, hit me up and let's talk. Right? Hit me up and let's talk about how to do those. Because I want, just like I want to share this information with you, I want you guys to find those deals because you're also going to need that funding. I want to be the funding source of that. Right? Because I see the opportunity there to put my money to work as well as the deal. So if I can show you guys how to do it, it gets more bars come to the table, yes? That's the purpose. That's the purpose of it, right? I need more loans. I need to put the money to work. I need you guys to find more deals. Maybe you don't want the deal, you want to sell it off, then great. Sell it. Or we'll wholesale it. I don't care. Point being is that I want to start creating more than just this single family world that we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. Let's get Jay talking.
Well, luckily the single family home stuff comes towards the end. So we'll have some
So guys,
some bit of a break.
Jay, ODU, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
You're ballpark, man. Get on.
Yeah, thank you.
Give a round of applause, Jay. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming.
All right, your show, man.
What was it? So I actually did look because I looked at the Facebook page. I guess, is this the 6th anniversary of? So this month is the 6th anniversary. Happy anniversary. Yes. I also looked, and this was the 5th file that had Hopportunity on it. So this is at least the 5th time I have spoken with the group. I don't know who snuck in one year, but someone else did. Yeah. And so it'll be the same spiel for people who, not the same numbers and stuff, but it'll be the same sort of thing, same sort of delivery. I would much rather, like, we talk about things when you see stuff rather than just me sort of talk about numbers on a slide. Because numbers are numbers, but you all are actually seeing what's happening here in the region and what's going on with deals and what's going on with interest rates and how many people are defaulting and stuff like that. So I've got like some legalese, the next couple slides, and then it'll sort of like talk. So please, the next one. The Strome College of Business, as well as the Dragus Center, would like to thank these kind sponsors. They do things that help me come and speak with you all. These commentary and projections do not necessarily represent the Strome College of Business, Old Dominion University, our beloved president, or really almost anyone who could fire me, maybe, I guess would be the way to put it. So please take this to be like my take on the numbers as they are stated, and Dragus Center's. I'll sort of like say, well, from conversations with the other people at the Dragus Center, we sort of believe this, but still, like if you make a lot of money, I can't even tell you to share it with me because I'm a state employee. Anyway, if you're going to complain, perhaps complain to me. I apologize. Thank you. The recovery. Golly, it makes me feel weird to even say recovery at this point. How many years out are we from? Hold on, we had something after 2008, didn't we? That's right. COVID really messed things up for a little while. Almost complete. Lots of things got shut down. So we'll start off talking about the region, Hampton Roads. This graph says a lot of the same things that will sort of get repeated for a few graphs. Real GDP, which is just adjusted for inflation, price changes. You'll notice that, 75 to 92 in the past 20-something years. That's 20%. Relative to a lot of other places, that's kind of relatively flat. Many of you have lived in Hampton Roads for probably longer than I have. I'm still here at 7 years. So I started with the group not too long after I got here. We tend to do better in recessions than other places because there's a lot of government spending. We don't grow as fast as other places. That doesn't necessarily mean anything that's bad for real estate markets because there's churn with people that come in and out from the military and other things. It's a more stable, perhaps, environment than others, but we don't grow as fast. Please. Growth in real domestic product. Post 9/11, we had some kind of fat years. And so we started 2002 there where things grow for a little while. 2008 passed. Some of that government spending went to other things than defense spending. You can see 2020 on, some stuff has come our way again. So the last 2 or 3 years has been relatively fat compared to what it was for 10 to 15 years. And so this is growth in real GDP yearly. Okay, that minus 1.9% is actually pretty good if you look at the 2008 recession compared to other regions. Like we're relatively stable. 2.5 is something that's good compared to other regions. Again, that's where that government spending comes in. Please. Index of real GDP. And so this is sort of like that continued story that I hinted at the first slide. So Hampton Roads is the bottom one. The colors don't show up very well, but just notice that since 2006, real GDP is up about 6.7%. Virginia, which is more reliant on government spending than other states in the Union, has grown, but not as much as the United States as a whole. Good in recessions, but like this is, and again, we can all say things about Northern California and perhaps how inner city San Francisco has not done so well in recent years for other reasons, but there's not like a Silicon Valley with really high growth rates here. At least when we think about government spending and armed forces, the Navy, it's been more rehab of ships, those sorts of things. We have ship building, but it's not necessarily the high-tech defense industry stuff. And that's one of the reasons why I think, and you'll get me like some bearish takes in the long run. And so unless there's some kind of pivot, I think, to some more of those unmanned systems or drones, I think building aircraft carriers, they're big targets. You can buy a cheap drone and maybe hit an aircraft carrier, right? And so that's sort of one of the long-term challenges for us, I think. Please, the next one. Civilian labor force. More people are either working or looking for a job than they have been in a while. This is a plus, right? More people working, looking for a job. I'll show up a graph here in a little bit that compares us with like Raleigh, Charlotte, Jacksonville, one of our nemesis, right? We don't tend to do as well as some of these other cities. Nemesis, yes. Jacksonville. What would you consider Jacksonville? So clearly we had the big fall off post-COVID. We are above that. Are we good? There'll be some okay, please. What was that? Do I need to kill it? Oh, it's a beetle. It's fine. If it was like a roach or something, I would have killed it. Employment level. Okay, this is the number of people with jobs. More people are now employed in Hampton Roads than what there were. Okay, this should be generally good, but my assumption is if we were to just look at general population growth, that may not be general population growth in the United States, right? Growing not as quickly as some other faster growing metro areas, right? Thank you. Headline unemployment rate, U3. Does 3% seem awfully low? I keep looking at that and I'm amazed on some level. So like I was an econ major undergrad and then I just sort of like doubled down on it. I kept studying. And I always thought like the natural rate of unemployment to where like if it's below that, we were supposed to see inflation was around 5%. And so this seems to me to be sort of abnormally low. This is just an opinion. I don't know if it's really made its way into the financial news as much. Yeah, this 2.8 pre-COVID, the 2.9 here, it seems abnormal to me. Like, and this is like when they say stuff about 7% mortgage rate, like this to me, it's still not even at historical averages, I don't think, for mortgage rates. And so when I see the stories, it's like mortgage rates at 20-year highs. Like, yeah, but we were so low for 10 to 15 years. Yeah. 20 years, right? Post 9/11. It was really impressive.
Hey, just to put things in perspective, my first house in 1992.
Yeah.
8.5%. So we're not really doing that bad. 8.5%.
8.5 is still, I think that's pretty good on a mortgage. I would have felt pretty good.
Back then were like $10,000.
I forgot, he's a realtor.
Right.
Yeah.
Tim was trading shells.
Yeah. So I would like to, so a question for the room, and I actually talked to Sean about this a little bit. If you all have been hiring like contractors, hiring workers to get stuff done, are you having an easier time doing it? A little bit. Like, at your work, are there job openings and you're having easier time filling them?
It's hard finding good people.
Okay, quality people.
This happens to be one of the guys.
I think the question though is it easier than it was?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Easier than it was.
What?
Easier than it was because for the longest time, you couldn't get anybody to do anything.
The time at which they can start working has come down significantly.
Yeah.
They used to be, I'll start your projects 3 months from now. I can't flip a house. I'm going to start.
Oh, right.
I need you to start.
Okay.
Closing. So now it's that time. The wait time is coming. Wait.
Yeah. This is what I'm intrigued by. So, like, talked with Chase a little bit, his experience at Dollar Tree. Like, is the market softening some? Like, these interest rates are quite a bit high, right? So, like, you would think that it should slow home buying down. It kind of has. Prices haven't softened that much from what I've seen. Now, I'm assuming that this is different in different segments. Brett, am I lying?
Well, I mean, you have a guy from Kansas who can't 1,000 people. They shut down a bunch of California offices as well. So, I mean, obviously, that's a national
2000. Oh, okay. Was that here lately?
That was pretty recent, yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, there's a number I didn't exactly know how to explain, but I might go with that, Brett. Yeah, 2,000 people. We're a metro of 1.8, but 2,000 is enough to show up. At least some. Anyway, we're to pre-COVID levels. There's a simple story here. I could have just said 2.9 to 2.8, or we could interpret it some. The long-term trend, and I don't think I have a slide on it, is like labor force participation for males, white guys like me, is still sort of gently trending down. That has not rebounded post-COVID. And so when I see these kind of labor market numbers, opinion, right? So this is where I say this is certainly not necessarily Dragus' recommendation. It makes me wonder. It just feels a little good, right? It feels like things are slowing down a little bit, even though it's not showing up in the numbers. And so please, the next one. Change in individual employment. And so this is in the last 3 years. So I remembered seeing this, and this was a slide that we had last year, and Hampton Roads was still in the red from post-COVID, pre-COVID to post-COVID. And now Washington, D.C. is the only one that's still negative. Right, and so you can envision this, the shutdowns, while federal government spending didn't necessarily decrease, state and local had layoffs. So federal government can borrow, state and local can't necessarily, and I'm pretty sure about this, this is McNabb's area. I don't think they can borrow for ongoing spending. It has to be like tagged to a capital project. And so when we have recessions, people tend to get laid off on state and local levels. And this can particularly hurt if you've got a lot of federal employees. So Hampton Roads, but we're up. Whew, our nemesis, where did Sean go? Jacksonville, 10%. I was like, whew, these are also port towns. Jacksonville, Charleston, Raleigh, Charlotte. When we're talking about the places, we're kind of like, well, who do we compete against? That looked like a good short list to me. Thank you. The next one, non-farm payrolls. And so these are where things are weird. So like people can show up sort of more than once in this. There's more people in the labor force, but this is the number of actual jobs. So I could actually show up twice in this if I had 2 jobs. If I did this and had a part-time job here in Hampton Roads, the number of jobs, as you can see, and it's trailed off. This is the thing I was like, oh, I kind of like this story about, I don't like it.
It's 6% nationwide.
6% nationwide. Oh, yes. Yeah, they employ a lot of people. Yeah, it's impressive. And so there's this trail off here at the end. Imports are down too. Freight, like the freight quantities coming through are up typically year over year. The port's been doing well, but imports are not doing as well. And so my assumption is that some of that, the freight move through is hurt some of this with that. We good? Questions? Please. Index of non-farm payrolls. Hampton Roads is the bottom one again. Again, it's not like who's losing. Chicago, I think, treads water. We're not Southern Illinois, where people are slowly moving out. We're not Western New York necessarily, where I moved out before I lived here. We're up, but we trail Virginia and we trail the United States. Gil, are housing prices up past 3 to 5 years? Population growth doesn't necessarily seem to affect the real estate market in necessarily that bad of a manner. Housing prices here are up, but Ryan, they're up less than other nearby markets. Please, the next one. Civilian jobs gained or lost. Sean, I think this is the commercial talk that we had a little bit of. And so since 2019, and this is Hampton Roads, where have jobs been gained and lost? Healthcare, this is supposed to be one of our growth industries. Ports doing well. Construction, past 4 years, this is not the last few months. Retail, Local government. Some of those folks that got laid off post-COVID still never have gotten hired back.
Well, with retail, what does that represent? Like malls that are closing, stuff like that?
This would be my assumption is an iSky, the jumpy palace things, perhaps employ less than what a retail establishment was. Sorry, the I word is a word I say weird. I'm from Arkansas. You know what I'm talking about? It's the like the trampoline place in Lynn Haven. I don't know what retail establishment it replaced, but I feel pretty solid it was something. I'm sorry? There you go. Right. Well, whatever it used to be before it became a spirit of Halloween. Right. This is another one of those running jokes. So it's what happens to the retail space when it gets repurposed.
I mean, you look at MacArthur. It's going to the toilet.
God, it's sad, isn't it?
You look at Chesapeake. It's going to the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
That broke gone.
I would say though, I wonder if there's a labor participation component. Because also, if you go into any retail store, they're hiring, right? I don't know if anyone else has seen that. Every retailer's hiring, right? So there's plenty of absorption for the people being laid off from the mall. Does that have to do with participation? If unemployment's 2.9%, you can probably pick your job more than you could. So why would you work, retail at $9 an hour if you can work somewhere else at
high?
An hour? Out of retail jobs into
right, some of these that pay better or
that's what I see specifically working for a large retailer that it is impossible to staff stores.
Is everyone else? I mean, I see the help wanted.
What does real estate fit in on that chart?
Are there too many real estate agents? That's what you're saying?
Bullshit, but it's not real estate agents.
Whew. I'll be honest. I'm not sure if that would go into professional business services. It may not be listed here, but I would expect. Open question. I don't think I have. Yeah, I think we've got transactions. The number of transactions has fallen. Way down. That means less. I mean, if you're just living off the commissions, then this is trouble if you're just an agent. And so you would think those marginal agents would probably fall out. They could do other things. Was there anything else here? We all good? Please. Growth in non-farm payrolls. Again, we're comparing Hampton Roads. So this is number of jobs compared to some of the comparisons. It feels like a good place to live, doesn't it? No one likes to see red when it's beside your town. But again, so some of these jobs, maybe it's the retail, so there's fewer positions than what they were, or people are working perhaps fewer second jobs than what they were. But those have grown in some of our competing districts. Please. Clusters. And so this is the last slide of this. If you were just sort of waiting, hoping for something different than the Hampton Roads theme. So priority clusters in Region 5, and that's basically sort of the peninsula on down. Here you can see clusters, employment, average wages, but really what's probably more important is where the growth is. I can tell you that the ODU is doubling down on this cybersecurity and data analytics. It's one of our biggest undergraduate majors. It's big up, and I mean, there would have been lots of years I'd be happy to be making $76,000 in terms of average wages. I can certainly say that. Not bad. I mean, port operations, logistics. What a growth rate, right?
It's crazy to see that you see cybersecurity, data analytics, and all that. And I still think trade jobs, everybody's shoving college down, everybody's working
Oh, yeah.
so long. And yet here we go, I'm talking to you, look at who's stepping into this position, who's going in and taking those jobs, who's going in and replacing those older people, right? Nobody. And like the ones that are able to make the market predictable. I work in a huge problem right now with boomers, generation, retirement. Yeah. And actually no 30-year-old, 20-year-old kid money backer behind it, man. It's crazy. You're talking about the markup on HVAC, markup on electrical, like all the trades
Yeah.
that MEPs. You're talking about this today with somebody else. Mechanical, electrical, plumbing. You can set the market for what you want because nobody's taking over there. I think it's just
Yeah.
crazy to see. Don't get me wrong. There's that little bear sitting back in the corner just dropping your ass water. Get it. But at the same time, he ain't building a house. Or he's not doing the things it takes to go build these things. So it's really
Yeah.
interesting to see that.
I mean, things break. This is a service that isn't going away. I mean, you can't just automate a lot of these things. AI is not going to fix it.
AI ain't swinging the hammer unless you build the robot.
Yeah, I was going to make the joke. My father was a plumber. It was my mom's dream that I go to college. Let's be honest. I could have probably done better as a plumber. I would have been making money during those years in college. Oh yeah. Well, see, again, so this shows priority clusters. And my assumption is, as far as the Commonwealth goes, that this is more having to do with what the state views as development areas than what they view as service industries. And so these are areas of opportunities in terms of like higher skilled workers. Like clearly, we've got to have folks that deal with plumbing and electrical issues. All right, next please. Inflation in defense spending. So like tail that wags the dog around here. Monthly inflation. This was another situation where I thought I would just look around and ask how everyone's feeling. Does inflation feel better than a year ago?
Things are $6 things for $100.
Yeah.
That's everybody's feeling that.
I paid $17 at Rally's for a burger and French fries.
17.
At Rally's.
Hey.
Get the drink.
Rally's fries.
Sure, it was the fry lovers version. But still, $17.
Yeah. Rally's fries are spectacular. Yeah, they may not always be in the best parts of town, but those fries are very good. It's come down, supposedly year over year, right? And so it's odd because core inflation, which is without food and energy, is higher than what all items are. And core inflation are for those of us who don't eat food or drive a car.
But here's the thing: when you say it's come down, the prices haven't actually come
No.
down.
The price level.
At which they're increasing has come down.
That's correct. They're going up at a slower.
Still going up, but they're going up slower than what they were going up.
Absolutely.
It's very misleading.
That's right. And so my guess is we have quite a few people who work on commission. You're trying to work deals. You're trying to do this. Like as a state employee, did anyone get a cost of living adjustment that was at least that in the last year? And we actually did pretty well, but we had been a while without one. And so I don't know that we were actually better off like for the past 5 years, but we did get a decent adjustment. But it's an election year. Let's be honest. We know it's. But thank you to our elected representatives for their support of public education in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I, for one, laud their efforts. That is correct. I know this is going out to the millions at home. That's right. It's slowing. The thing to think about is so until the central bank, the Federal Reserve, sees something closer to 2%, they're probably not going to do something to lower interest rates or an effort to lower interest rates. I'm sorry? My guess, and so I talked to McNabb and Agarwal. These are the two senior guys in the draft. I'm thinking you're looking at year and a half. I don't know. I don't know that it's going to come down soon. So, I mean, that to me is short term, right? So medium term, maybe. But then you've got the issue, we're also running big deficits. The federal government is borrowing a lot of money as well, which pushes up interest rates because that soaks up some of the money that could have been loaned to private homes. But that's a whole different story. We'll get there because there's a debt slide, I think, coming.
They're really smart.
That's
they wouldn't
right.
Let it get out of hand.
Because we've got a very capable leader in charge of the House of Representatives right now. TBD. I'm sorry. The next, please. And so here's the thing. So this is just sort of like an axe I grind. So like a big part of the CPI, less food and energy, which is the one we supposedly started caring about after the 1970s when we had an oil shock. And so like if you take out food and energy, well, that's stable. Well, it works out that the less food and energy, a big chunk of that is housing. What continues to happen with housing prices, those haven't necessarily eased. And so that is making a big difference in this underlying CPI. Yes. Oh, yeah. No. I can repeat it, Robert. It's fine. Speaking to the flower on my lapel.
What are all of the changes in the modeling this past year? Why do you think it happened? And two, why do you think they changed the definition of a recession?
So, to my knowledge, I don't think the definition of a recession has changed.
Isn't it 2 negative quarters of GDP?
So, supposedly.
Didn't we do that?
No. And so, here's the thing. I'll admit that maybe this changed. It's like what's his name? The Sinbad movie, Shazam, if you know what I'm talking about. I swear to God that I can remember this. But it supposedly never existed, but I remember it distinctly. So I was an economist for numerous years, and I always thought it was objectively 2 consecutive quarters of negative real GDP growth. But like 3 or 4 years ago, I found out it has to be 2 negative quarters of negative real GDP growth. And the National Bureau of Economic Research has to say it's a recession. They normally do that when it's 2 negative quarters. But if the porridge is not cold enough, then they don't say it's a recession. Which I don't like. I don't like subjective. I really want like objective measure.
Why do you think they changed the weighting on housing? And do you think that they'll change it back?
So this, I don't know how it's changed. How much it has. So there's a group.
I think it was like 38%, and now it's a little over 44% of it.
So my guess as to how this changed, and so come along with me to my principles of microeconomics course. Each quarter. So anyway, Mike, at some point, the Bureau of Labor Statistics could contact you and your family and say, Mike, will you fill out this consumption survey?
Right.
And they have diaries that get sent out with, I think, 50,000 families. And they write down, like, what did you spend money on? Is the idea. And so, like, these participants in this survey write down for like a month or 3 months or something. I spent $12 on cheeseburgers, this much money on rent, and
$17 on cheeseburgers.
$17 on rally fries. And what happens is the basket that goes into this CPI, so this 44% for housing, gets adjusted based on the diary that the 50,000 families like Mike's say. And so my guess is since inflation on housing has been higher, price increases, investment income, or your rate of return, whatever we want to call it, price increases have been higher on housing, it's become a bigger chunk of that basic basket for families.
Because it seems a little fishy. You just kind of maneuver. We went to the core, and then we went to super core, and then we went to headline, and then we went back to core, and then...
Oh, you're going to love this next slide.
All right.
I think it's the next slide where it says the inflation rate minus housing. And I've actually seen this, like the Federal Reserve like referred to it. I'm like, well, if we take all the prices out that have gone up, eventually you get an inflation rate that looks good.
Yeah.
And that sounds like cherry picking to me, but maybe I'm just being cynical. I've met some of the people at the BLS that run the survey that I believe them. I took a group of students there a couple times to meet the people in Washington, D.C. I don't think it's nefarious. This stuff where they're trying to cherry pick, that sounds a little weird, like they're trying to make things sound better than perhaps what it is. That's just an opinion. As economists, it's like the government tells us, we believe them, right? It's like I'm going to start making other movie references from JFK. It's like, well, I don't know. Who do you believe? Well, the government statistics say I don't know. I mean, there are alternative measures of unemployment rates and inflation rates you can find online. Yeah. At the end of the day, these are available. They're supposedly credible. It's what we rely on. More explanation. I've also got like a half hour to an hour explanation of the CPI basket if you're really. Okay, well let's keep moving. We're not even close to the housing slide yet. Shelter, non-shelter, and this is where without shelter gets thrown in. I like this that even the Dragus Center is buying into it, right? So we're showing you what it would be without, and oh my God, it's miraculously the 2% target that we should be looking for. But anyway, so CPI shelter, 7.2%, right? So nationally, housing is still increasing. Impressive, given the fact that we went from very low mortgage rates to higher mortgage rates, right? 4.4% without shelter, 2%. Oh, 4.4 less food and energy, 2% without shelter. Please. Monthly inflation, inflationary expectations. Until we get to about 2%, interest rates or interest rate targets probably won't decrease markedly. Please. Department of Defense base budget. Lean years in Hampton Roads. If you remember those GDP growth rates, 2012, 2013, 2014, this is where we started having GDP increases. If you remember those very first, like those first couple of 3 slides, as luck would have it, forecasted to go up. Now, are those percentage increases? Notice they're not adjusted for inflation. They're still expected to go up on a nominal basis, right? So we should have more spending here. Next one, direct spending. How much comes to the metro? Lean years. It looks pretty good for us in the short term. This is still just forecasted, by the way. We've all seen how good Congress has been about passing budgets. So that will probably improve, I'm sure, with the new speaker. Please, next one. The port sets new records. We won't spend a lot of time here. It's pretty much all good when we talk about the port. The TEUs, the thing that looked like the back of a trailer rig, down a little bit 2020, up 21, 22, up. I mean, this is like 25% in 2 or 3 years. The Commonwealth invested a lot of money in the port, and we're pushing a lot more freight through. Please. Yeah. Right. And here's your year to date. And so that was year over year stuff, right? This is where you can see what's happened. Right. So we're no Long Beach, but the Port of Virginia is down year to date. Right. And so this is a national thing. I don't know. And so again, you're not supposed to say it, Chase. I just know supposedly retailers are kind of drawing down inventories, which is not necessarily a good thing. I don't know what's going on at Dollar Tree.
It's all public information. I mean, just think about, I've actually looked up from all around the world, but if you think about what people are buying, like I said to you, discretionary items, so like party supplies, stationery, pencils, like things like that, that's all going to come from Asia. And then you think about food, baby wipes, and tools, all going to be domestic. So if you think about the share of the wallet right now, people are moving their dollars over the last 24 months away from your import products, or you're bringing containers.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're buying domestic products. So I would expect to continue to see a downward trend with containers. And also containers too, got so bad at a certain point that you couldn't even, I'd have 100 containers sitting off the coast of my products just waiting for.
Oh yeah, you couldn't get unloaded.
And I couldn't get it unloaded.
Yeah.
I still have the issues now, but the expectation I would think more, less coming out of Asia, which is 90% of the containers.
Yeah, but here, at least here in Virginia, I think most of our stuff is Europe, right? Yeah, with the Asia stuff, and clearly they're getting hurt worse. Some of that could be some of the increased. I don't want to say hot talk, but there's some of the stuff with Asia where there's some.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're not hurt at all.
Next one, please. Share of TEUs. And so here you can see yearly trends, but notice where are we at? Report of Virginia, blue, continuing to basically grab market share in the long term. New York, New Jersey trending down. Us, and I believe Savannah have typically done pretty well. New York, New Jersey is doing worse. High cost areas. What can you expect? Next, please. Hotels surge ahead. And so we're getting closer to real estate, but we're not quite there. Let me know when it's time I really need to push, because the real estate stuff I know is the most interesting. Hotel revenue. And so I always kind of like feel like this should be more. The blue line is the one that matters because that's adjusted for inflation. It's up 25, 26%, 20-something percent since 2000, but that's not like huge, right? When I started thinking about it, clearly tourism has grown in the metro. Hotels, Virginia Beach. What's done well? Norfolk, Portsmouth. This number I think is probably a little misleading. Virginia Beach, just because I think the number is bigger to start off with. Right, you've got a lot of big rentals for like a beach rental for a week is different than a two-day hotel stay in Norfolk. And so this represents a lot of money when you see that growth. I think there are reasons to be positive about growth in tourism here, with the caveat, I think that there are troubles in the long term, and maybe even the short term right now, about staffing some of the positions to service them. Like, do you have something? So this is just hotels. I've got a short-term rental, and I've got like another question about that when we hit the short-term rental. Here we have Airbnb. Right. That's right. Everybody wanted private stuff. You felt safer. Are y'all staying at Airbnbs as much? How are y'all seeing in your own Airbnbs? Like, they're
I just started one that's
slow.
slow. I think honestly, Airbnb is on the cusp of bad. Things on its way out. It's saturated. It's not that saturated. It's the way travel. That's
Saturation.
Too many people coming in and doing shitty services. But I think the overall is you don't have a dollar, you're just spending eating versus staying at my house.
Disposable income for vacation, little niceties, getaways, and stuff that's gone.
Okay. So this is interesting to me. I was interested to hear the story. Like if it's so thinking it's purchasing power that's getting eroded and fewer people are paying.
Purchasing power, yeah, but I think it's it had a really big buzz for a long time. What happens there is buzz. Like you're here and God, everybody starts getting in, it's too much. So I think that's what happened, but it also happens that nobody's got any money, so
Yeah.
you don't have the ability to travel or you want to feed your family. You're gonna feed your family, you're not gonna go with them.
Yeah.
And then now here comes this, I think, what looks like a windfall based on if you look at the numbers on Airbnb, like look at the math, it says like there's a lot of people struggling.
Yeah. So to me, this doesn't necessarily mean it's going down. It's flat as a percent of hotel revenue.
Your data is lagging a little bit.
Yeah, December 22. Yeah, we're ways behind.
So I'm just saying, like I've heard a lot of people that kind of about these. They're trying to sell them. And then they're all shit out of it because they keep out of it.
Yeah, you've got higher interest rates.
Based off of the base, like I think that's the DS. I hate to say it, the DSCR loan is going to be the Airbnb. All of them.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, I want to buy the Airbnb or the DSCR loan. I got no money to do it. It's failed in 3 years.
Yeah, I tried to test it out because it's the place that I'm Airbnb is just an apartment unit that I had that was taken out for family. Try it out.
Yeah.
It's an ocean view. Let me test it out, see if I can kind of midterm, short term rent it. really, it's just around holidays and stuff. That's about it.
Not a lot.
Not a crazy amount of activity. Granted, we're in October, right? By the ocean.
Yeah, it's slow.
Start this thing off, but it's not nearly as much buzz as it felt like it was previously.
That's cool as it looks.
Yeah.
But, if anyone needs furniture.
The people who like to stay in, so this is from a consumer side. Like, I don't know exactly when it happened for me or the people I talked to, but I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. I think hotels have now become, yeah, or at least on par. For a while it was cheaper, but then you get the fees, good for your renter, like good for Airbnb owners, the cleaning fee that's not subject to the percent, right? I know why those are added. It's because you don't get charged commission on it. But I think people have kind of slid back over because hotels are doing like free breakfast again and like that kind of stuff to suck people back.
Rental owners transition over to a different model where it's like, right, don't target military families that need a place to stay for longer.
Yeah.
Right, so they're marketing more traveling nurses, right? So people are trying to transition that, but that's getting saturated because all these short-term owners who are struggling to, meet their mortgage payment, all pushing in the same direction. So that's what I'm too.
Okay.
At least in my
Okay. I'll repeat.
Customer service than product.
Yeah. Which it sounds like more work is what that means.
Recently changed. I don't know if you've seen where like fees aren't all broken out the way they used to be because that was the big complaint, right? $100 a night, and I go to book it, and it's $400 a night.
Yeah.
So Airbnb is overall the entire platform, and I see it as a hose. But to me, I think it's the idea of like the strong will survive, right? So we need the shitty Airbnb owners to be.
Oh yeah, they'll shake out.
There's too many bad operators that I think have degraded the reputation of the platform. So I love for it to get tight, weed out all the people who are shit, and the people who are really good, have excellent experiences. Those are the ones who I think will weather the storm, like any business.
Yeah.
But I think we need to weed out the shitty operators. Absolutely.
That's the procedure.
Yeah, I was actually intrigued to sort of bring that up because I figured that we had some folks that were running.
There's one on my street that was bought less than a year ago.
Yeah.
Nice house. Bought it for crazy pricing. On the market right now. I feel like you're just going to see that happen a lot more. A lot of these people underwrote this stuff as being an STR that's just going to.
Yeah, with like some capacity rate that's just not going to happen. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey guys, we got like 10 minutes before we get to the clock.
Okay.
They shut down at 9:45 last call. I'm gonna have like an hour of networking, make 10 random talking to each other. So let's let Jay know.
Oh yeah, we were just right there. The next slide is the picture of a house. Woo, what we all came to see.
Never seen that house.
No, I'm not sure it's the same one from all 5 years, but it's similar. So 2021, 22. This still doesn't show 23. 9%, 9.4%, a little bit less, but I mean, 7.5% is still something to be excited about. This is on average too, by the way. Next one, please. got 2010 to 2022, average days on market, still low. I think I've got some stuff that'll bring us up a little closer to date here in just a second. 30-year fixed mortgage. What is this going off at since September 28? Y'all know. Is it still 7.3? 8%? Oh, it's crept up. It's still high. Yeah, I didn't think it was probably going down from 7.3. Yeah, I mean,
But I'm saying, like, we got spoiled for a really long time, and I feel like everybody got so babied into like under 5, much less than 3. And everybody's like, "When is he going back?"
yeah.
Narrative that's missed there in that conversation, that we weren't always focused on the fact that houses were only $85,000 or only whatever it is, but what was your wage back?
Yeah, real wages should have gone.
$17,000 a year, making $87,000 a year, and that's not being told. That concept of, hey, your wage
Yeah.
now compensates for the cost of living is nowhere on anybody's radar, so they're saying, oh, well, yeah, 14% on a $25,000 house. Oh, cool. Yeah, but you're
Yeah.
$87,000 now. I don't think wages have kept up. Yeah, wages. I'm not saying it's,
Yeah.
that's the whole of what you're saying.
This is a big argument. So yeah, real wages have.
There's no opinions. Put wages and home prices on a chart.
Yeah.
See that it's the least affordable of everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a good, and so it's a year ago now, but there was a chapter in last year's State of the Region report talking about housing broadly. It's available online. You just go to Dragus Center, and you'll find it. And it talks about like the challenges here. And by the way, it's one of the reasons why I think that the downside for our region is probably less than it could be at other regions. And it's because there's limited supply in terms of land. We're landlocked. Even if we're not growing as much, the big tracts, I've heard, I don't know how many times, it's like, where's the big tracts? Where's the big subdivisions? This just isn't happening like it used to be. And so now it's like knock a house down, put 2 in one place. Yeah, right. And so, yeah, it's south, right? That's where the stuff's happening if you're putting in a lot. Yeah, I'm not saying move there. Yeah. Yeah. Will that surprise you? So the bottom lines this year, so compared to where we were last 2 years, greens 2 years ago, last year, off like 500 houses in the metro through August. I mean, that's quite a few less. On some level, it's quite a few less. Next one, please. Median price of existing residential homes, but doesn't look like the median house price has gone down a lot. And so what's happened to payments if we've now got 8% rates? Yeah. Someone asked me that last year, and I'd be interested to see if anyone has gotten a different, like a theory about it. Like what would be, if they were to adjust down, what might be reasonable? Or like, what would you think a reasonable house price is? Like if I see 8%, like what was the house price or what was the monthly payment with the 2% rate, 3% rate as on the way up? And now you've got 8%. Like that looks to me, and again, this is just me being scary. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. Like that looks to me like that amount, if we wanted house price on a 30 or 15-year note to be about the same, that's quite a bit less, right? Or that's probably at least less demand out of 20-something-year-olds. I'll say that, the ones who are marginal about buying a house. Just think about the people who might be first-time home buyers. This is me just talking, thinking out loud. The next one, please. Inventory of single-family homes. And you know, even better, hell, it's less than what it has been. Isn't that amazing? I mean, it's creeping up. Now, don't get me wrong. That's getting close to last year. But that's still like 300, 400 houses on the market in the metro. This is still pretty tight. That's as of August. And so that's why, like, I'm glad to hear that y'all are still getting deals. Y'all are moving stuff around. Is this just tight? Or is this the junk? What's out there? The junk? junk or stuff that's too high.
You gotta know where to hustle, and then you gotta know where you see desperation.
Yeah.
Everybody's capitalizing on it and all that stuff. Yeah, two decisions. That's funny. But if they're in a bad spot, I mean, we are seeing more and more of that right now. Marketing directly to homeowners, you're seeing way more of that.
What's causing the pain? Probably in that spot.
It's inflation again. I got guys reported there. Like, oh, right? And then there's that hole you step in. You're like, oh, a little bit of a hole, I'll get out of it. And then it comes out of it. And 60 degrees, right? Drop your way home.
Yeah.
This is where I go back to, you're going to capitalize on that because it's going to get worse. This is, we changed this. And for realtors in the room, and people that are understanding, we have targeted more for realtors. If anybody knows my track record, I've always been on accountability. Right? I've always been like, now I'm total opposite because they are the ones that are getting it. They're getting deals brought to them, and they don't know how to structure it. They can still get paid on the deal, they just gotta learn how to structure it. So it's been another tool for rental numbers. And that's his creativity side from the wholesaling space that understands sub-2, creative financing, all that kind of stuff. You're gonna save somebody from a really bad hit. You get a foreclosure on your shit, you ain't renting nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta go buy it. So that's what I'm saying. Like, this is,
Yeah.
I like to see this kind of stuff. This is why I get so hot and heavy on these numbers. It is very glaring about that. Not the time to go to the realtor space and go talk to the broker about making a realtor.
So just a question. This is more personal. I don't think I got a slide on it. In terms of price points, what's moving? Is it stuff at the bottom, stuff in the middle, stuff at the high end? High end stuff still turning over? Those people don't have problems? Yeah. Oh, million plus, five, 6,000. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Sub $1 million under 400. That's distracting.
Does that sound different from what anyone else has seen? No. Folks with money still buying. The people with money are still buying. The people without.
And this is the thing that I've learned.
If there's anything to buy. Yeah. Oh yeah.
They all say the same thing. When inflation goes up, the rich get richer because it's a tax on the middle class.
Yeah.
Right? That's fine. But again,
Yeah. People at the higher end. Yeah.
rates and like help somebody out because you're gonna walk into kill the fucking people. You just gotta structure it. That's the creative part of that inside of the realtor space or the regular retail space. It's not taught. It's one is because the broker doesn't know. That's what they play, right? So the brokers that are changing their brokers don't make money. You're eating them.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to eat.
Yeah. That's what I think those guys in the room right now, plus listen to the whole line, understand it. The most important time is understand the creativity side, understand the structure.
Let's see what we got next. I don't think I got too many. New listing of residential homes.
I know.
Still less than the last couple of years. This to me, like you got less on the market, you got less new stuff coming online. Tougher prices to go down just with regular churn. Right. Up a little bit, but so this is, estimated months of supply. So if no new houses came on and they just sold what was there, assuming that it was worth a shit, which it may not be. We're back to a month and a half. But for the past 12 years, that was an average of 5 months. I don't know that this is perhaps a surprise. Brett, Not much out there. Yep. Please. Zillow Home Index. So Hampton Roads is that bottom one, right? If there's a positive thing, and this is where I was trying to say some positive stuff at the beginning, like we ran up less than some of the competing metro areas. We've got some strength here, certainly as long as we got some military bases and some regular churn. We don't normally lose a lot of people, don't necessarily gain a lot of people. We got limited supply. And so that's where I wonder how much, if you're sitting in Nashville, I thought, prices looked high a few years ago, to be honest, and they've gone up a lot.
But this is going off of Zillow's home value.
Right. Right. Well, they do have transaction prices, I think, based on what?
Actual?
I thought so.
I thought they were the guesstimates.
So some of the guesstimate stuff was like, I thought it was the estimated value. Oh, that would be estimated value. Yeah, so this would be based on transactions. And well, I mean, Case-Shiller Index, which is the one, like that's still an estimate on some level too. Well, so anyway, based on these numbers, which could be suspicious, but of course, all the numbers we could pick and choose. Yeah. All right. Rent index. Hampton Roads, 46.5. Washington, D.C. I mean, teleworking. I've got a couple friends that work at some of the alphabets up there. They're going in like one day a week. I mean, I'd live in Baltimore myself and ride the train. And that to me says a lot about the rent there. That, in my head, it was a quick one. Mostly good news. Last one, right here at 9. Defense spending continue to rise in the short term. I don't think that anyone needs to be the long-term threat. I've said it, I think every year I've been here, and I will double down on it, although I don't think it's going to surprise anyone. A lot of the federal debt, which is now 32 trillion, I know it's like quadrupled in the last 10 years or something, but you can look online. I don't need to say anything that's not shocking. This was financed just lately at what, 2%, 1%. It's getting renewed at Treasury Direct. If you need some place to park money for 6 months, you can get Treasury bills that are paying 5.5%. I put some money in some here just this last week instead of leaving it in my savings. That stuff's rolling off 1% and 2%, coming back on at 5% or higher at longer maturity. This is going to start to eat up the pie that is the money that gets spent at the federal level. And eventually, you'll also have things like Medicare, Medicaid. What sounds more impressive? Your grandparents and parents having medical care or a new aircraft carrier. And what are we good at here? Aircraft carriers, right? So like less defense spending because it is discretionary, even though it doesn't seem that way because lots of money gets allocated there. Non-discretionary is like Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. And those are growing at the same time. The debt's growing. It's kind of eating up a bigger part of the pie. That to me is the 10 to 20 year issue here. Again, nothing like a good war to increase government spending on defense, which is short-term bullish for us, right? This is good. Traffic's good. Leisure and hospitality outperform. Inflation's moderate. And so it's written. So it's the official Dragus Center position, right? It's going to remain above the target, which means interest rates probably aren't going down unless we hit a recession through 24. Right, so expect these 7-8% rates. Focus on clusters, maritime, renewable energy, healthcare, unmanned systems. That's the drone stuff, right? So that's probably the future for defense. People are expensive. People sitting in chairs flying drones, less expensive. Conversation, complaints, questions.
About
Yeah, we like controversy.
Yeah, not to be controversial, something I saw when I'm thinking about vulnerabilities. So I felt it from you last year, but it seems to be your biggest concern with Hampton Roads is the military spending, where you see that's make or break, right, for our economy.
I will say this. So from my understanding, I think it's approximately 60% of local GDP is derived some way from government spending in Hampton Roads. But like that's not the first dollar doesn't always because you know dollars get spent 2 or 3 times. There's a multiplier effect. But so like cuts in military spending could be highly recessionary. We're still sitting on a great chunk of real estate next to the ocean with a nice beach, one of the nicest ones this far north. But it could sell short-term problems, right? If there were real cutbacks.
Okay.
This is why the Jacksonville thing. They moved one of those aircraft carriers to Jacksonville.
You said that last year about California, you know, when we had some of those Asia threats.
East Coast is hot this year. You notice I didn't say that.
So with the ocean and waterfront question too, I guess that makes me think of something else in the end. It's not controversial, but I saw when you think about climate and rising sea levels, and everyone has different opinions on it. I'm not taking a stance on it, but is that something that's ever talked about as a vulnerability to Hampton Roads in terms of the real estate market, GDP? I mean, is that a conversation at the economic and ODU and Dragus?
Absolutely. So I think it was 2 years ago in the State of the Region, there was a chapter on flood vulnerability. If you all weren't aware, we're like 3rd in the nation.
I was going to say we're worse on the eastern seaboard, almost one of the worst in the country.
Only behind, in terms of dollar exposure, we're behind New York City, which that's a lot of real estate, in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And then I think it's Hampton Roads. Like we got a lot of low land, and
So I think about
thank God.
And it's
we haven't had a major hurricane.
Yeah, it's your highest tax base too, right? So you think about when I think about waterfront homes, that's probably your highest property tax base. So the funding that you need to combat flooding, if you lost those homes, right, you're going to lose your highest property taxes as a government, right?
Sure. Yeah, a lot of the highest value are those waterfront homes. I mean, there is federally subsidized flood insurance.
Yeah. I have it. I mean, I have it.
By the way.
Yeah. So I guess that's just something that I think about when you talk about the military and then climate. When I think about long-term challenges that Hampton Roads could see, or what are our vulnerabilities?
Certainly. I mean, does Virginia Beach have as much low-lying land as a percentage as what Norfolk does? I don't know that I think it does. Virginia Beach is a little higher. You got a little bit further away from the water. But, I mean, I see water pooled up in places when it rains hard. It's not as much as when I lived in Norfolk, but...
Yeah, I'm on the Highlands. I can have two. You can lose a car in my driveway. 100% in Ocean View, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah, in Ocean View. Yeah, I believe.
You'll lose a car in your driveway.
Yeah, I lived in West End. It was.
Yeah.
Tide was in. Get a rainstorm, it would happen.
All right.
It's another long-term concern, right? And so if you're not looking at flood maps, if you're buying something to keep, it's public, right? If you're wanting to maintain the property, keep it for longer term, I think it's a good idea, right? I don't think that's all that controversial.
So good stuff.
Yeah.
So Jay, thank you again for
thanks for having me.
Presentation, killer numbers, good conversations. Let's hang out for a little while, chit chat, network, talk with each other. They're good until about 9:45 is their last call, so that should give us about 45 minutes. If you got any questions, hit Jay up. For those people online, thank you for hanging out with us and watching. I really appreciate it. I don't think you had any questions online, did you? So again, if you're watching the replay for this, leave us some questions online, and hopefully we can get back, and if you got them, we'll get them to Jay. And he's got this presentation. He shares with us every year, so we'll make it available to you online.
Please do.
Because we get a lot of those questions. Hey, can I get this? Can I get that? Good talk. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah. One last plug. So the Dragus Center, this is one of our missions, is to come out and public interaction, community outreach. And so if you're parts of other groups who also would like economic presentations, this is a relatively normal thing, right? So I've presented in front of Trig before. The other people have been in Lions Club, all this sort of stuff. And so we often have information about various subjects, or you want to talk or reach out. We also have numbers and data available as well at the local level.
For those people that are watching, Jay's information will be available. We'll give it to you so you can get a hold of him. And if you have an event, whether it's you guys have something, or if you have a club that you run, or just an event you run, or online, and you guys have something you want to reach out to Jay, hit him up. Like I said, this is 6 years. Now that I'm being told 6 years, it's fucking blowing my head. But really, really informative. And thank you so much for spending time to come out and talk with us. Another round. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Guys, hang out. And let's hang out for a second. But JP, take us out. What do you think?